3 is the future.
Welcome, crew, to What Are Your Three, a Channel 3 podcast where we take a member of the Channel 3 community, discuss 3 games of their choosing, go through some honorable mentions and some other odds and ends for a nice little video game discussion. That's the first time in like 5 weeks I've probably done the actual introduction. That felt smooth, Ray. That felt smooth, but that's Ray. I'm Dan. Go for it, Ray.
I'm here. I mean, it's smoother than your internet connection tonight. That
was all PC. Sure. That was PC centric. My internet connection's been fiber fast, baby. That's
what I'm trying to say. Where are the fibers? The
fibers are here. It's my computer's smoking for some reason.
You know, Joel got you a new monitor. You gotta get yourself a new computer now.
I'm blaming some kind of malware or some garbage service junk in here, and OBS thinking it's Steam elements all of a sudden, Stream elements all of a sudden.
I was gonna say, did you update OBS? We know we don't update OBS.
No, I didn't update OBS
until it crashes on us.
Yeah, I think I may be at that point. I feel like I've skipped 4 updates. That might have something to do with it, because a new one just popped up today. I'm like, I should probably do this, but I didn't want to do it beforehand and have an episode 100 and 101 situation on our hands and screw up the audio. So
I know I'm holding on.
No,
We're good.
Anyway, we have a guest here. He's going to talk about some games. It's Stygian. Stygian, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing good. I'm doing very, very good. I will say I might not sound like it, but I'm definitely a little bit on the tired side.
A little jet lag there, huh?
A little bit, yes. I did just get back from LA last night, so thankfully I was able to sleep for a full 8 hours compared to like the past 3 nights sleeping only 5 or 6.
Did the Dodgers beat the Yankees again? Or sorry,
it's just uncalled for.
No, sorry, it's how we wrapped up the last podcast. I figured we tied together the post credits, just upset Ray.
We just finished the Subway Series, which we didn't win, but we won the last game of the series.
But the Phils took down Cincy 2-3 over the weekend. It wasn't looking good on Friday. That's the end of sports talk.
I was gonna say, did anybody go to the game? Can you drive through the streets of Philly right now? I heard they were packed up.
It's much like a New York City summer day.
It's just another day in New York City.
Just hot garbage lining the streets. Yes, that's
piling up there. They're having a good time.
Hot garbage piling the streets. I know what that looks like.
They're having some sanitation issues over there. We'll say
they're having fun.
That's as far as I'm going to go into that conversation. But it is hot garbage lining the streets, and you can Google that one for yourself.
Let me tell you, when I start getting stories down in South Carolina about stuff going on, we're having a rough time. Anyway, we're going to talk about some games eventually, I guess.
Yeah, we were venturing real close to like podcast territory. I mean, that was only about 3 minutes, but that was real close to like. Next thing you know, it's 45 minutes, and we remember to actually do what the podcast is supposed to be. Yeah. We got to be real careful.
Oh man, let's jump into it. We've got games here. Game number 1 is Monster Hunter. Monster Hunter World, Monster Hunter 3, Monster Hunter, all the Monster Hunters. So just so many. So I'm going to let you lead the way here. You start talking about Monster Hunter, wherever you'd like to start. And I'm going to follow you. Where are we going here?
All right. Might as well start at where I started then. First ever Monster Hunter game I played was Monster Hunter 3 Ultimate. And funnily enough with that, I got it because it looked cool. And I had my, I think the first edition of 3DS for a little bit at that time. And I was like, ooh, Monster Hunter 3 Ultimate. I was like, I have no idea what this is. This looks cool. I'll grab it. Started playing it. And this was like when I was like much younger than I am now. Like maybe when I was like in my teens, I think. Started playing that. And I was like, this feels really weird. I'm not the biggest fan of it. And so I stopped playing it and I went to like other stuff, like probably like Mario or other things, something like that. But fast forward a couple years, I'm older, I'm wiser in quotes. I'm much better at video games, and since I have a lot more experience at that point. And I started playing it, and I was like, oh, wait, this is actually a lot of fun. Why did I not start? Oh, you know what? It's probably because I was bad at video games. I didn't understand it back then. um, but no, I started playing 3 Ultimate. I got a good chunk of the way through the game as well. There's like different ranks of difficulty that you play through with quests and everything. And like base games, there's like their low rank and high rank quests, and the ultimate series of the games, which is basically like the second level of each game entry. Is there's low rank, high rank, and rank called G rank, which in later games is called master rank. Um, but I managed to get into G rank, and then I just kind of dropped off from there because one, it got really, really hard, as is appropriate for the game, but also two, I was just like, I am having a lot less fun grinding for this than I am going to be playing a lot of other games, and I still haven't beat it.
So this was not a type of game or series that like you played. This was kind of out of your norm when you picked up.
It was very much out of my norm, out of the blue, compared to the other games that I've been playing. Because I was playing like the side scroller Mario's, Sonic's. On the 3DS, I played Kid Icarus Uprising a ton, probably still is my favorite 3DS game of all time.
And that's where that game will stay buried because there's no other way to play it.
I was about to say, I was like, and then we will never see another entry of that game ever unless Sakurai decides to pull something out of a hat and make it for the Switch 2 or something. I don't know.
Or the problem is that's one of those 3DS games that's got a 2-screen that like it's not a menu, it's like a fully functional second screen that you need to use to play the game. So
yeah.
Like unless that was the thing I thought, like we were talking like Switch 2 conspiracy theories, and Ray thought the C button might be connecting a second screen or like your Switch or your phone or something. And I was like, oh my god, they may be able to revive these 3DS games like
the
that
rumors got really creative. The rumors got really creative on how you were going to attach your Switch 1. You were going to make your phone the second thing. The people were going out there with it.
That one stuck. I couldn't. I was like, that's really interesting and bold if they can make that work. But like that's the only way you're going to get Uprising again because it's a fully 2-screen game. I don't know.
I will say, you could play the game without the touchscreen. There were control styles where you used both the circle pad and the A buttons to control your reticle and movement at the same time. And was it clunky? Yes. Could it work? Yes. Was it much better to play with the stylus? Absolutely. But
Sakurai
now that
will never then
with 2 joysticks, like it's so doable. It's basically like any FPS shooter. Just third person and probably a little bit more higher octane than most.
Get that Joy-Con mouse working. Yeah.
Get the Joy-Con mouse working.
Yeah, exactly. Like you want to do crazy flicks on with the stylus? Here, you have a Joy-Con mouse instead.
Have we forgotten about the Switch 2's mouse capabilities? Does anyone use it for anything yet?
Dragon Drive comes out in like 2 weeks, so we'll see.
I'm just saying that we have this. We had a feature, and I haven't even attempted.
If people use it for like the FPS games that they're going to be on Switch, I'm sure that actually since the Switch 2 actually is decent hardware compared to the 1, that'll function a lot better. But if you're trying to use like a mouse controller type thing for an FPS, and you have a computer, just use a computer.
If these Switch lobbies become KBM lobbies, basically because of mouse control, it's gonna get wild.
It is gonna get wild.
I'll tell you. You make Splatoon 4. You let me connect my mouse to that. I'm back. I'm back in.
Prime 4 is gonna be the measuring stick for this.
It will be.
Yeah.
To kind of decide if it's worth it. So Monster Hunter, is it now? So it wasn't.
He wants to talk the whole series. We don't even know what's happening.
I'm asking. So it started as a game, this is totally like out of the norm. Just kind of pick this up. Is it in the norm now since you've played multiple games in your series?
100%. It is definitely a returning series for me. Because like I said, started with 3U. I skipped over 4 and 4 Ultimate. I completely skipped over those entries. Because I just
where were 4 and 4 Ultimate?
I think.
Yeah, where were those? Where were 4 and 4 Ultimate?
Those
They're
on a
the 3DS as
3DS.
well.
That's also 3DS.
We had 3 more entries on the 3DS.
Oh my god, I didn't realize there were that
Monster
many
Hunter
on the
3.
3DS.
There's so many Monster Hunter games.
Yeah, it was 3DS, it was 3U, then 4U, and then Generations. And Generations is where the cutoff was. There was going to be Generations Ultimate on the 3DS, but that got only released in Japan. And then we got Generations Ultimate on the Switch 1 in the US. Which was strange decision making on Capcom's part, but that's what happened.
Yes, Monster Hunter X.
Yes. Monster Hunter Cross, Monster Hunter Double Cross.
So World is next. So after 3, you go to World. Is that
No,
the jump?
actually, I went once I found out about Monster Hunter Generations. I went with that first, actually, and that I had a lot of fun with because I got to experience some of the older maps, some of the stuff that I hadn't experienced in the past since 3U was my old game. I didn't play 1 or 2, and those additional entries, portable. Oh, we're not even going to talk about Frontier. No, I went to Generations next. Got to experience all like the older monsters, newer monsters, stuff I've missed on the previous games, and then 4 as well. And the whole new introduction of the Hunter art system, which kind of led to it was skipped over in World, but it led to like the Silkbind moves in the name Rise later on. But Generations was a really, really cool game because again, old biomes, old monsters being brought back, and then of course new variant monsters, which is not rather than like, because we have monsters that have a subspecies, what's called a subspecies, because you have like base Rathian, standard like green flying fire breathing wyvern, and then you have a pink Rathian, which same type of thing, stronger poison attack, does a couple more flips to make its attacks more flashy. That's just like a base example. There's tons of variants of monsters out there, or subspecies, but Generations added in variants, which were very, very different subspecies of monsters to the point that, they were considered mutations. Like there's a crab monster, and the variant for that was one of its claws got really, really big and really, really hard. I couldn't tell you the name of it, but it was basically
that's called Kingler. They did it in Pokemon. That's actually Kingler.
Yeah. One variant I do the name of is Thunderlord Zinogre. And that's basically just a Zinogre that's amped up, has significantly stronger thunder capabilities. The Zinogre is basically a thunder wolf that strikes with lightning attacks. It is a very cool monster, in my opinion, one of my favorites. But Thunderlord is basically just a hyper amped version of that. It's much significantly stronger, more variety in terms of its moveset. And then, like I said before, with Generations, the art system, that was just really, really cool. And the style system as well. Because new to Generations, of course, was the arts and then Hunter styles, which changed the movesets of each weapon depending on which style you were in, which determined your play style as well. There was a style called Guild, which is basically bare bones, what you're used to, previous entries, minus a couple things taken so they could be dedicated to other styles. And those entries were actually really, really cool because there was one, my personal favorite was one called Adept, which is much more evasion focused. Because if you dodged attack like right at the last second, you did this little dodge, completely nullifying any incoming damage, complete invulnerability, and depending on what weapon you were in, you had a little bit of a running sprint at the end of it. And in my case, I main dual blades for that game. If you were in a certain mode, when you dodged, you did a little spin attack at the same time. So you dealt damage on the dodge, and that just seemed like the coolest thing ever to me back then. And then, of course, a skill that makes every single hit deal double damage or strike twice. So it was like, I'm just tearing through these monsters like nobody's business, doing these dodges left and right. But they were a lot of fun with, of course, some limitations, like some classes can equip 3 arts. Some classes or styles can equip 1 art. So it was a lot of pick and choose what fits you and what fit your play style best. And that just added so much more variety to a game that already had a ton with like the monsters, weapon choices, armor choices, builds. Like this is an incredible Monster Hunter RPG. And then of course Generations Ultimate just added on to that with new arts, new styles, new monsters, and of course new story and end game content.
And so as the games go on, so if you go to Generations and the World and Rise, they keep adding stuff to it. Do you feel that all the additions make the game harder? Is it just more options and the same level? Is it easier?
Other people might have a different opinion on this. For me,
But I want yours. I want your opinion. That's why I have you here.
Since my experience is in order going 3U, Generations, Gen Ult, World Iceborne, Rise, Sunbreak, and now Wilds, every single entry has had things added and things taken away. So many unique differences that like I'm just learning a new playstyle every single time. So like sure, some basics are the same in terms of the base gameplay and like, you know, basic move sets, but the weapon, sword and shield, it's probably the most basic thing you could run with. With World, they changed their moveset a ton. Dual Blades got changed a ton. And then you go to like Rise with all these different arts and stuff. And you go to Wilds again. Even then, there's like things are being changed left and right. It's crazy. Honestly, my opinion is that in some cases it does make the game harder because other weapons you felt comfortable with playing no longer feel comfortable, and you have to relearn them. And some people might find that very irritating. Otherwise, other people might find it like, oh, nice challenge. I could relearn the weapon that I've been playing for like 500, 700 plus hours. That I feel like I'm learning something new again, which I think is great. In terms of game mechanics, quality of life stuff, it's luck of the draw. Depends on what the change is compared to like the previous entry, like whether it's good or bad in the eyes of the player. Personally, I can't. Going from added the addition of the Clutch Claw in Monster Hunter World Iceborne was probably the most gimmicky thing that pissed a lot of people off because it was the same routine. Because they completely changed. The addition of that completely changed monster behavior. Where to a point there was a period in time where if you hit a monster or like do some like a heavy attack on it or something or hit a certain HP threshold, I couldn't tell you what, it would stagger back and then stand there panting for like 3 to 5 seconds straight, programmed in for a Clutch Claw opening. Now, is that Monster Hunter? No. A monster might take a step back or something to like catch a break or a breath or something, but to stand there and just look dumbfounded while it just gives you an opening to hit it with something that completely decimates the monster in terms of damage. Because the Clutch Claw, you can grab onto a monster, you latch onto that like a freaking grappling hook, and you can turn it by striking its head and send it flying into a wall and deal so much more damage in an instant than you could in like probably 5 minutes worth of gameplay.
It just didn't feel sporting. Is that what it was?
Yeah, it felt cheesy. It felt really cheesy. And felt like you're cheesing the game in a game that's not designed to be cheesed in most ways. And since that was like, certain monsters you're going to find a strategy that works for them if you can avoid a really, really annoying attack. But if that's the case for all monsters across the game, it's like you're ruining the gameplay, man.
So with all these games, which one hits you the best?
Personally, I like Rise the most. Rise Sunbreak. That felt like, well, one, it was the game I grinded end game content the most. And it was a game, like, even if it was the same over and over. Oh, I'm sorry. Can I curse on this?
You're fine.
You're fine. It's one little bleep that appears in there, and it's just funnier that way.
Okay. Cool. I'll try to lay off it. But it's the same. Rise is like, even if it's the same stuff over and over and over again, it's the game that I just didn't get tired of because I was still enjoying myself. I enjoyed the Silkbind moves and the changes to the moveset. Like that was the first game. This is before Sunbreak came out, which is the expansion to Rise. That I built a weapon class or like a weapon loadout for every single weapon type in that game. And even like, and depending on the weapon as well, I built different elemental builds as well. Like that was unheard of for me. I've never done that for Monster Hunter, let alone any game I've ever played. Like if there is a loadout I liked, I stuck with that and just kept on going. Now, granted, did I have my main weapons? Absolutely. Like charge blade, longsword. I stuck with those for the most part. But I just had fun building stuff and experiencing the other weapons because like I had the time because I completed base Rise and it was like not much endgame content compared to Sunbreak. But I was like, I had the time, might as well put it in and like playing the other weapons, see how they feel. And I was like, oh my god, some of these actually are really, really fun. And then of course the Silkbind moves just added so much variety and just like then also I'm a big anime fan and I kind of like those kind of styles of games where it's just like a lot of flashy stuff where you do some really, really sick moves, fast moves. And that just kind of filled that niche for me with Rise, along with it being a very Japanese themed game. But of course, the monsters were fun to fight. They had unique move sets. We had new monsters, returning monsters, and then Sunbreak just added on top of that with some really, really cool themes. With the whole, I want to say like Transylvanian kind of theme, with where you had like a vampire monster and a werewolf-esque monster, along with some of the new additions, and of course, new returning monsters in both the base expansion and then post expansion release that just knocked things out of the park with how difficult they were. And then, of course, more and more endgame content that I was fine with. Because the nice thing with Sunbreak endgame compared to previous entries, even with like World and Iceborne, there was a mode, a quest mode that constantly got harder and harder and harder the more you played. And most games don't do that because there's no easy way to do that. Like, because if you're doing stuff, you're adding like new quests, you're adding new event quests online for people to download, which was how it was done in the older games. They posted event quests online and you downloaded them through the DLC menu. But with Rise, it was a built-in mechanic. And you just kept on playing. It just kept on getting harder. And you could keep on benefiting, making stronger weapons, stronger armor, and you just have fun with it. Now, Wilds is a step above because it's just, one, it looks beautiful. Two, the weapons like feel really, really nice for this game, which they did wonderfully compared to the beta, because there's a lot of things that people weren't happy with that game. But they listened and they executed, which a lot of game companies do not do. And as a Monster Hunter fan, I can be really appreciative of that. But in terms of just sheer playability and enjoyment factor, Rise, Sunbreak, all the way, 100%.
And I'll wrap you up with this here. Give me like a standout monster. give me, you know, if you think about Monster Hunter, you're like, oh my gosh, this was the monster. It was just so great to battle, or it was just so awful to battle. Whichever one you want to tell me about.
God. Sheesh. That's a great question. I'm trying to think back of all the monsters.
The Monster Hunter players are yelling at their speakers right now.
It was like, it's obviously this one. It's obviously that one. I was like, dude, no. Chill. Well, I will say the first monster that popped in my head was Sunbreak Amatsu, which is a very, very cool Elder Dragon lore-wise and biology-wise, because it's a monster that generates its own storms. It rides on air currents. It doesn't have wings per se, but it has like a lot of like frills on its body, and it controls air currents around itself, so it can fly. And every Elder Dragon in the game is a walking natural disaster. Amatsu even more so. And it was the main boss of a older entry of the game, and I was just always fascinated with the design of that monster and the concept of it. Because one thing that I did back in high school, when I got bored in class, I would just browse the Monster Hunter wiki, because I had an app on my iPad that was literally just a built-in online wiki to the entire Monster Hunter collection. And I was just like, if I got bored, just pulled up a random monster. I just started reading the lore and the biology behind it. I was like, this stuff is cool. And Amatsu really stuck in my head. And I was always like a fan favorite. If this monster is ever brought back, I am 100% going to be happy and I will be playing it. And Sunbreak just did just that. It looked amazing. The fight was amazing. The soundtrack was amazing. Like, that was a fight of fights. It was so much fun. It kicked your butt like nobody's business. Especially if it's your first time playing, it'll catch you off guard and you will just get wrecked. But once you know it, like it'll still hit like a truck, but you'll have fun fighting it. And then runner up will probably be Violet Mizutsune, which was also a Sunbreak edition, a little subspecies that they added at the end there. Also really cool, really hard fight, but Amatsu I think takes the top.
Ray, we've gone soft over the rapidly approaching 3. You know, it used to be somebody come in and they say they want the series. We'd say we drop a hard no. Then at some point we're like, all right, yeah, we could work around a series. Like it's tied together. Then somehow Stygian came in and pulled 2 series on us to open things up here.
Back to back.
He said, I want God of War. Which God of War? The series. And like, I just, it might just be the midsummer vibes. He got us here, but he said he wants the whole series. So I'm going to ask, like, where does this begin for you? Because I was a fully formed adult when this came out. You were not, when the first one came out. And how did you wander into God of War?
It started with my dad. Our first at-home gaming console was the PlayStation 3, the fat one, not the thick one.
Yeah, the OG that had the backwards compatibility and
yes. And that was, I think, one of the God of War 1 was one of the first games that he ever got for that console. And it's rated M for mature, 18 plus, but
and earns it really too in every way possible. Yes.
Oh yeah. But I was like, at some point, he just started letting me watch, and I enjoyed it a ton. Like it looked cool. It looked a lot of like it was really flashy. The monsters looked cool. The combat looked awesome, and at some point he let me play it. I can't remember whether or not it was after he had gotten the God of War. Or no. Which one game was the collection? He got the God of War 1 and 2 collection disc. That's what it was.
But yeah, that they had upgraded. They made some upgrades for the PS3. Because the original was an end of PS2 era, or like latter end. So it looked great on the PS2, but they needed to touch it up a little bit for the Blu-ray
I'm sure they did, because that game looked like, for a game back then, it looked phenomenal. But I can't remember if it was after my dad finished God of War 3 that I started playing the game. Because I distinctly remember for some reason, the ending of God of War 3 got to me and I actually started crying. I was like, I think this is so sad. Kratos just got killed. Sorry for spoilers for anyone.
Spoilers for a 15-year-old gamer. Yeah, 12-year-old gamer. Yeah, you're good. Spoiler for the spoiler. He's back. Don't worry.
Oh yeah. I'm sure people already know. But no, I started playing God of War 1. I love that. Played God of War 2. Love that. Played God of War 3. Love that.
That's such a great opening level, though. Like the first God of War.
Oh my God, yes.
The Kraken, and like it's just one of those ones where like I did not know what I was walking into. I was just kind of like, I was like, what's a good game out? I was at a point where I had some free time on my hands. So I didn't know. I wasn't in touch. It's in the middle of a dark age. The guy's like, here, buy this. Like, all right, fine. And I take it home like, oh my God, this level's great. And like the quick time events are happening and just chaos all around you. Your attacks are just wiping things out. Oh yeah, you're sucked in right away.
Yeah. And there was a point in time in college that I started replaying the series. And I like from 1 again, and I went all the way through 3. Unfortunately, my original 3-disc stopped working on the PS3. Don't know why. So I just bought the remastered version on my PS4. And I want to say, this was before I ever touched Ragnarok, because I didn't play God of War Ragnarok until I got it on PC. And I only had my first computer, my first like PC tower after college.
So
it was either after college or my senior year.
Hold tight. So before Ragnarok, though, it's been a couple of years. The Greek narrative was tied up for Kratos.
Yes.
And then 2016 rolls around and there's a trailer that drops live at E3, and guess who's back? And you learn like whoa, wait a second, God of War is back. It's got an entirely different look, vibe, and it's going after a new set of gods. Like
New
where,
mythologies, new everything.
yeah, where were you at that point? What was your reaction to saying like, oh no, God of War was done? Because like 3 ends the story, like it buttons the thing up.
It buttons up the entire Grecian story. Like all those gods are the ones, like all the gods that Kratos had it out for are dead. Like anything that got in his way was
everything.
gone.
Nothing is left from Olympus. Yes.
Nothing is left from the Olympus. The only thing we knew at the end of the game was that after he got rid of the hope that Athena gave him, he was alive. That was the last thing we knew. And then, of course, nothing since until Ragnarok drops. So
not Ragnarok. Just the God of War Untitled 2018. Just no subtitle. God of War.
Not Ragnarok. Right. Base God of War. Yeah, God of War 4.
Your God of War 2018 because the naming conventions got frustrate me keeping tabs. God of War 2018 announced in 2016 and is back. So you ended up playing this one on PC though. That's where I got lost. That's why I went back. I was like, wait a minute, are you jumping to Ragnarok? We're jumping around. We're good. Because
when I say God of War, I mean God of War 1.
So
I need to start saying Norse, God of War 4 for the PS4 God of War.
I would just say 2018, but we're in God of War Norse country now.
But yeah. Well, before God of War 4, I had me and a friend, like we're both huge fans of the series, and I know he like had already played like all of the God of Wars, and I said like, I went to him, I was like, hey, do you recommend playing these? And he was like, absolutely. I was like, okay, I need to find a way to play these because these are games that were
you had your portables, your PSP, your Vita, the Ascension and whatever I
think Ascension is well, did I play Ascension? I can't remember. I'll have to check my collection.
I don't remember because but they did put out a disc. They did put out a disc of these games. Yes.
Yeah. So I found out that those discs exist, and then I immediately bought them up, started playing them on my PS3, completed all of them. Story-wise, I didn't 100% the game because that'd be crazy. I'm not that desperate. I just wanted to experience the story. Ascension, I couldn't tell you if I played that game or not. I do know that was like
it was a little rougher.
Bit of a dumpster fire.
Yeah, it was a little rougher, we'll say. Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, not terribly pertinent to the story, if I remember correctly, if I did play it. But hearing about, Kratos finally back is like, we finished Greece. Where do we go next? And it's like, because there's all these different options, all potentials for like where they could do next, or do they just end it there? Because Kratos' story in Greece is done. And then they announced like, oh my God, we're in a completely new realm, new part of the planet, and it's Norse mythology.
And he doesn't have a murder, and his family's not murdered. The
number of really, really messed up gods and stories in that in Norse mythology is insane. Some of them put freaking Grecian myth to shame, and they're horrible. Those gods are horrible. And finding out about that, it's like, and then the new, not to mention the new comment, I was like, okay, this actually looks really freaking cool.
It felt like such a leap from the end of God of War. Again, not having really played the portables, like it's just such a leap when you get the Leviathan axe, and it just felt so. Not the original, like it felt more tactile for me. Not that like they weren't visceral and bloody and violent, but like just the way the controller handles and the way the action feels, and like just the way the Leviathan axe just slams back into your hand. It feels entirely different, even though it's really only a couple of years in reality later for us. It feels like a multi-generation leap. Like it feels like a 20-year leap.
Yes. The gameplay in that game is leagues above the other God of Wars, in my opinion. Like, of course, you can't beat the classic God of War game style because that just has a whole nother feel of its own. But God of War 4 just started something completely new, and it was incredible because. And especially in terms of difficulty and like building up your skill set in the previous games was learning how to dodge better, and then timing your attacks and making sure you don't get swarmed by enemies so you don't get mobbed and killed in an instant because of how unfair the game can be. In God of War 4, it feels like so much more skill based. With all the moves that you can do, all the skills that you can equip, of course, changing your armor among other things, working with Atreus.
Skill trees and new talents.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and especially when you get to the end game combat in God of War 4, that was like, this is like hard but fun kind of hard. Of course, there are going to be like, some monsters that you're going to get pissed off at because it's a hard game. You are going to get mad, but it is going to be like, when you look back, I was like, yeah, that was actually kind of fun. And of course, not to like the gameplay alone, the story was incredible. Like, I knew a good chunk of the story already in and out because I've been watching like YouTube compilations and stuff. It was like I don't have it. Like, I didn't have a PS4 for the longest time. Oh God, no, wait. I think things changed. What changed? No, because I'm trying to.
You're saying you had that you waited for this one for PC. You said.
If I remember, I'm trying to remember because that might not entirely be the case. Because I got a PS4. Oh God, I'm trying to remember now. Oh, I started God of War on PS4. I never finished it. That's what it was, if I remember correctly. They never finished it. Because I started playing Persona 5 Royal.
Oh, there goes 120 hours of your life.
That's it. You're done.
Yep. And then Horizon Zero Dawn on that console as well.
There goes another 80 to 100 hours of your life. Yep. That accounted for a year of your life right there.
Yes.
But alas, you came back.
Yeah.
You should start talking about the narrative too, because that's what I wanted to ask you about. Because you talk about like the Grecian end of the story ends. And you're here, and like Kratos has a new life, and it opens up with his wife is dead. You're burying her, and that's kind of the impetus of the story. And like, oh no, you've got a kid now, which like for anybody who's not aware, like the first game opens up with like, oh no, you have violently murdered your entire family, your wife and child, and that's why Kratos wants to kill Ares, and wants to kill the god of war and revenge for that, and that's where you get the name of the game. And it so now like, okay, this changes things. He's got
here and there.
Yeah. I'm paraphrasing.
Nightmares, nonstop torture, yada.
Little paraphrasing, but like, just you have this jump where like now he had another family. He's got a kid again, and like he's cold and distant, and also just like that unleashes, and then like the narrative of the first story comes back because the Blades of Chaos come back, and like,
oh my God,
the story all ties together with what happens to him reaching God status, and all of that ties into this. So like, it's not like it's an entirely new thing. Now we're back in all of it. It all ties together. So it wasn't like, oh, we're just ignoring everything that happened before. No, it all matters.
The Athena cutscene in that game, chills, man.
Well, the music too in that.
Oh my God. It was so good. It was so good.
So I'm gonna wrap up and ask this. So you've got two eras of God of War. You've got the Greek era, you've got the Norse era. What's your pick if you got to pick one of them?
God. I gotta say Greek because I think, well, it's classic Kratos, classic rage-induced Kratos, but it's also like a good story because in one, it's him getting revenge on Ares for screwing him over. 2, it's him getting revenge, like going after the gods.
The gods are mad because they killed a god. Yeah,
you kill the god, and of course, nonstop nightmares. Serving Athena, and then
Big Daddy.
God, the start of 3. I'm trying to remember. Was him allying with the Titans to get revenge on the gods and like
get Big Daddy Zeus in here.
Destroy that world. But with the sub games, you had him dealing with the fates, also like while reconciling with his nightmares, trying to find ways to end his suffering. One of them was finding his brother. And so, like, and through that entire thing, like, his goals changed. he was like there was character growth, but also just the combat in that game was like so fun compared to any other game I played at that time. And then of course just the nature of Greek mythology and history. I was like, because of those games, I was obsessed for a good amount of time. I just love the idea of the gods controlling different aspects of the world. Not to say that Norse mythology is like not as good as Greek mythology, but I found that more interesting, and I think just enjoy that era of God of War more. Now, is that partially influenced by my current playthrough of God of War Ragnarok? Probably, because I haven't had as much motivation to fully complete the game. I've gotten back into it, thankfully.
Not an unpopular take and not an uncommon take.
Yeah, yeah. I enjoy God of War 4. I enjoyed, played straight through, demolished that game 100% of it as soon as I could. I enjoyed the crap out of it. God of War Ragnarok, I don't know what it is. It could just be something on me.
It's
Or
no,
something with
it's
me,
the
but-
it's
You're
the
not the
two
only
for one
one.
they did. They were thinking about splitting it into two games, and I think when they jammed everything into one, I think it just became too much, and it was just kind of
too long. Yeah, it
I
definitely
think it
feels
just
too long.
there's a little too much, not filler in there, but like you needed a break. It's a lot to be in.
Yeah, and some of the side quests too is just like some of them are just annoying. They're just straight up annoying and just they take you so out of ways. It's just feels strange sometimes of like, why am I doing this? This contributes nothing to the story. And like this is like some world building. Like that was a nice thing that the side quests in God of War 4 had for them. They were side quests, yes, but was there world building with them? Absolutely. They had contributed to the story of the game. They contributed to the story of the world. They actually told you more about the environment that you were in. Some of them was just like basic hunting and extermination quests, sure, but others were like really good. And now it seems like a lot more just side jobs in God of War Ragnarok. Like one of them is one of which is very, very annoying, and I had to look up a reason as to why it was annoying. Was I forget what they're called, but it's a gang of bandits that live in the Ring of Nine in Midgard that are wolf hunters. So anytime, if you activate that side quest, from then on until you complete it, anytime you are traveling in the open world, whether it be by boat or by sled pulled by wolves, there will be random moments where Kratos cuts off all conversation, saying like, "Wait, I hear something. Wait, the wolves are bothered. Wait." It was like, why is this happening? Like, is my game glitch? Is my game broken? But no, it's just a single subquest that breaks the entire dialogue of anything that goes on until you complete that quest. That's probably but yeah, God of War Ragnarok, length, side quest, probably my biggest gripes with it. So otherwise, story-wise, like going to Asgard and stuff has been pretty cool.
All right, now we move on to game number 3. We've got
Yes.
Okami HD,
Mm-hmm.
which the name of it translates to Okami Magnificent version. That's
Oh, really?
that's what the name of this game is, Okami Magnificent version.
Well, it certainly is magnificent.
One of the last well, the HD, first of all, this game, what system is this game not on? As I'm reading through it, it was like originally on PS2, but then they put it on the Wii and motion controls and on PS4 and every system you could possibly. An HD remake, eventually makes it to the Switch. This game is an odd one of the last ones on PS2, and they go with the cell shading just because the PS2 can't handle any more on top of that. Like, can we please make this a little simpler? Game does not sell well. Studio shuts down, wins IGN's Game of the Year. Just all weird stuff. Everyone loved the game. Everyone who got the game loved it. Apparently, just no one got the game. And then they put it everywhere, and people keep playing it, and everyone loves it. So tell me, did you play any original version of it, or is you got it on the Switch and this is the first time we're playing it?
I got it on the Switch, and that was my first time. I had known about the game like loosely prior to getting HD, but then I saw it on the Switch. It was like, oh, I know what this is. I've always kind of wanted to play this game, so I'll get it, and I did. And since you actually mentioned that, like the cell shading and whatnot, For the since that's what the PS2 could handle, I think that adds to its charm.
Absolutely.
Especially in terms of like the art style and game design.
Hmm.
Um, but like I just thought it was like you said, I just thought it was a great game. It was a lot of fun to play. The combat was interesting, and especially with some of all the different weapon types and abilities. Not to mention like the celestial brush techniques. It was a really cool game. And of course, like I thought when of course, I'm sure everyone gets this impression when they initially start the game. I thought it was like when we get to that first initial Orochi fight in that first area outside of I think is it called Kunafa Village, um, whatever the starting village is. I was like, there's can't be the entire game, right? And it was because like, and it seems so small. Like there was talks about like all these celestial brush techniques. I have 4, and I'm going to fight Orochi right now. I was like, what? Where's the rest of it? And I'm pleasantly surprised to find out, oh, there is a lot more to do. More areas, more storylines, more cool stuff to do, and it was just, it was great. It was great. So much that I came back like 1 or 2 years later after initially playing it, to do a New Game Plus run through of it, and I still had just as much fun.
It's funny, you talked earlier with Monster Hunter about enjoying anime and having like the Japanese culture influencing the game, and I learned so much about Naruto from reading the descriptions of this game, and the main character being Amaterasu, and which is sun goddess. So I learned that part. We learned Okami can mean wolf or god. It's a pun, apparently, the word there, and fighting Orochi. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is how we fought. This is why Orochimaru exists. And this is why I was just nerding out, actually, reading one thing after another and saying, oh, this is why everything in Naruto, this is where they came with all these names. This is like, it's just all really Japanese culture based. They put it all together.
Yeah, I'm sure like it references a lot of like the same mythology.
Yeah. I did not know that. Now, are you a fan of Legend of Zelda games? Because the director of this one, Hideki Kamiya, I'm going to say. I think it's Kamiya. I don't think it's Kamiya. It's definitely Hideki. It's probably Kamiya. Says that it was a lot of based on Zelda games. Because they love the Legend of Zelda series. And they said, we're going to make a game that kind of goes with that style of it.
I did not know that. No, my first ever Zelda game was Breath of the Wild, and I'm pretty sure I played that after I played Okami HD.
Oh, there we go. You're part of that group. I'm also part of that group. That The Legend of Zelda began in 2018 or 2017, I guess, if we count the Wii U version.
Oh no,
that was the Switch in 2017.
I am very much aware that there were previous entries, that there were plenty of Zelda games. And I honestly thought that some were interesting. But it was like it's not entirely my cup of tea. So unless I feel like really really pressed to get it, I'll get it. But no, my first ever Zelda game was with Breath of the Wild, and I bought that with Tears of the Kingdom. Because this was like what after Tears of the Kingdom got released, because the Nintendo had like the 2-game voucher bundle, and it was a better deal to do that than buy the 2 games separately. So I said I Tears of the Kingdom looks freaking awesome, but I know I need to play Breath of the Wild first, so I'll just get both of those.
So, Kami, you talk about it has the fancy combat system, because it's not just fighting; you get to do these paintbrush strokes. Essentially, did you find that to be like interesting? Was it fun to have that aspect to the game? Did it feel just kind of in the way because you kind of freeze the game to do them, or did it feel like it belonged?
It felt like it worked. It felt like it really worked with the combat, because like a majority of your brush techniques, like the one that you're going to most commonly use, and as in combat specifically, is your slice brush technique, because that's how you get like a special loot item called a Demon Fang, and you use that to like buy certain items in the game, upgrade things, if I remember correctly. Or no, you buy stuff to upgrade your weapons with Demon Fangs. And even with like the freezing of the game, and I'm thinking it's probably a little bit better on the Switch too, because you're able to use a touchscreen rather than a joystick. which makes it a lot easier and faster, in my opinion. I didn't like trying to use the joystick with brush techniques. It just felt clunky. But being able to do that, it felt like it just works because like the freezing made sense. I mean, you're basically freezing reality to use your brush technique. So it wasn't completely out of the ordinary. I was like, oh my god, this is a game freeze. I was like, it doesn't suit combat at all, but it does. You're a god. You're adjusting reality with these techniques. And of course, like as you progress, you start learning all these different techniques and then upgrading them to get new moves. And it just adds to combat and just becomes really, really cool. Now, granted, could you play a majority of the game without ever using a good chunk of these attacks? Absolutely. Does it make the game a lot easier? Yes, because there are plenty of enemies that you need to use these techniques on to beat them. So whether you're forced to or not use them, they're still fun to use, and especially in the culmination at the of all these techniques at the end of the game and how they each play a part in developing who Amaterasu truly is and actually beating the final boss. It just makes the whole thing even more cool, in my opinion.
Now you played. I think you played through the game twice.
Yes.
Was there a difference in how you played each time through? Or was it just, I just want to play this twice just because it's so great and I just kind of want to run through it with 2 times?
The second time, it was definitely, I wanted to play it again because I just remember having so much fun with it. I was like, you know what? I feel I need another game to play on the Switch right now. Let's do Okami. Let's do another run through that. There's a new game plus. I haven't done that yet. So let's do it.
Nice.
But, well, with the second playthrough, I mean, like I knew what I was doing. I can't remember whether or not I started. No, there were certain weapons that you had taken away from you because they were special weapons that you acquired later on in the game. I think from bosses or something. Oh no, there were weapons that you had to buy. That's what it was. But you start a new game plus, like with all your gear and stuff. You go back to ground zero with brush techniques though. But so that made the early game very quickly because you're able to like just kill things really, really fast, which definitely helps. Because the difficulty on New Game Plus wasn't exactly much higher until you got like much further into the game, which I think makes it a little bit easier to play through a second time, especially New Game Plus. But compared to like the first playthrough, like I didn't know what I was doing. Like there was a lot of points where I was like, I just got lost and like I had no idea what I had to do so I had to like run around like, where am I supposed to go? Like I think I've checked everything out, and then I go to a corner in the like a forest here or something, and I found like, oh no, wait, has this been here the whole time? Am I just dumb? Am I blind? There were multiple moments like that, and it was really refreshing. I was like, oh my god, I'm actually like feeling lost in the game, genuinely, not just stuck because the game sucks.
Mm-hmm.
Now, were there a couple points where I had to like look up walkthroughs? Like, yeah, because I was just like, I'm just not thinking about these things hard enough, or I'm just missing something and being completely oblivious, and I'm never going to find it. And there's like 1 or 2 things like that. But playing it the second time through, it was like I knew a majority of what I was doing. I knew where like some of the hidden stuff was. I actually did a 100% playthrough of the game on New Game Plus, but that was like you had to collect these beads for it, and I was like, I'm not doing all that. I'll follow like the hints that they have in game for some of that stuff, but other things, it's just like, I'm not going to bother with hunting that myself. I'm just going to use a guide. Second playthrough definitely was a lot. Or no. Second playthrough was almost just as long, simply because just of all the gameplay, and of course, the finding all the beads that I did. But I think I was still 6 hours shy of my original playthrough time.
All right, so we move on now to the honorable mentions.
Yeah.
Number 1, Metroid Prime Remastered.
Yes. That I'd never played a Metroid game before. The only Metroid game I had played up until this point was on DS with Metroid Prime Pinball.
There you go. So you really knew how to roll around in ball form.
I was like, wait, is he about to tell us the only Metroid game I've played before is like Metroid or something? Like I kind of got, I didn't know where that was going. And well played.
Morph ball expert.
If you want Metroid Prime Pinball, I'm your guy. Have I beaten the final boss? Wait, have I beaten the final boss in that game? I don't know. I think I got killed every single time. The final boss is really hard.
I wasn't aware a pinball game could have bosses, but I guess.
Well,
Yeah.
someone's never played Sonic Spinball.
No, I can tell you right now, I have not played Sonic Spinball.
You're missing out. I can't vouch for
got me.
Metroid, but you're missing out, Ray.
You got me on that one.
Oh my gosh.
What system's that on? What is Spinball on?
It was a Sega Genesis.
Oh
Yeah.
I didn't have a Sega.
It's got. Is that? That's. Oh, we got to fix this. Moving on. Sorry.
So what was it like? This is your first Metroid game.
It was cool. It was really, really cool. I liked not having a completely clear objective. I think. I mean, there like it was fairly linear, but you didn't have a waypoint the entire time. So you didn't like if you got like turned around or something, you had to figure it out for yourself.
Yep. Too bad. Yep.
And then, but like the world navigation wasn't terribly tricky. Of course, thankfully, like there was a lot of backtracking as you unlock new abilities and weapon types, and I enjoyed that a lot because like the classic game feel of not having your handheld 24/7, which is something we are sorely missing these days, and we really need more games like that. Which is why I'm excited to play. Like, assuming I'm really hoping that Metroid 2 and 3 get remasters as well, because I would love to play through those on the Switch as well. Because I'm sure I would also enjoy those. Like I enjoyed Metroid Prime remastered so much that I was like, I really hope these next games get remastered because I want to play them.
I don't know how they haven't done it yet. I'm concerned.
It doesn't. Make
Yeah,
sense.
right. Or they'll probably have their hands full with finally getting Prime 4 out the freaking door.
I'm concerned that game still doesn't have a release date. It doesn't.
Yeah,
They don't release. They don't put.
sense.
They do 60 days for release dates. They didn't put a console.
They only have 2 months to do it. I think they only have September and something else.
October, the end of the year is freed up, baby. GTA 6 vacated.
No, but they're doing one. It's like one game a month. They're doing a game a month, and they're all mapped out.
November is
saw
not
somewhere
taken.
there was only 2 months available still. Is it those two? I thought it was September or something. Maybe there's something already in September. But like Nintendo's got a game each month. So we're running out of spots for this one, basically.
Yeah, we are.
What's
So
the
I guess we'll just have to wait and see whether or not they actually release remasters.
They
for
have
it.
just remember they have a September Direct every year.
I thought there was a July Direct coming. That's the rumor.
I don't know,
So-
but they always have a
someone had
September. They always have a September Direct, and November's just there.
We've got a rumor of a Direct right after Donkey Kong releases to like make it clear that it's not about Donkey Kong. That it's about whatever's happening afterwards.
Good.
That's our rumor at the moment. Don't worry, when this releases and then 2 weeks go by and there's no Direct, we can all come back and say that. I'm an idiot
Much
for
like the
saying it again.
connecting extra screen button, there will be no accountability for
Right.
bad rumors. Yeah.
Let's do this. What's the best suit / and or upgrade? Oh, your favorite one.
Oh no! I'm gonna have to look up a list because I can't remember off the top of my head.
Oh, we have the two. You have your pumped up Varia suit when because you have a normal suit, but then you get it all beefed up, or the Phazon suits, Ice Beam, X-ray, Thermal Vision, Charge Beam, Waves, Plasma Beams, the Gravity suit.
I have to.
The Boost Ball.
Morph Ball was cool because that's just
There we
classic.
go.
I get to roll around as a ball.
It's very cool to see in Prime in particular. I mean, not that you've played other Metroids.
But you got to see it in 3D.
Yeah.
For the first time.
Like, how are they going to do this? What are they going to do? Okay.
I think. God, the boost ball was really cool because I just love the idea of just going into morph ball form and just zooming everywhere. Not to mention, it made like navigating through corridors super fast because you just send it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking. Grapple beam was cool. The Phazon suit. Oh god, I can't remember what the appearances because I remember really liking the appearances of one of the suits. The Phazon suit. I love how that one looked. And of course how the morph ball's appearance changed over the time as well. That was cool. I think what was the one that I used the most? There was, yeah, the Wave Buster. That one, that ability, I think I liked in terms of the weaponry. I like that the most, because you're just shooting a tracking laser and you can just burn through enemies. It was really cool.
Well, let's move to a different area, one which involves much more pain and suffering again. But this
Uh-oh.
time with some more color and flair in Celeste. And Indie Beauty started with a little crunch action they put together there for a conference, and then developed fully into Celeste, one that I finally cracked myself in the last few months. So happy to discuss here with its great soundtrack and painful but strangely encouraging gameplay. That was my take. It was never like a negative where you're dying. Even like you finish the level, it's like you died 127 times in this level. Like you learn by dying. It's okay. It like pats you on the shoulder at the end of every level. But anyway, you put Celeste on here as your second honorable mention. Not the Celeste series. There's only one of these. You couldn't do a whole series.
Yep.
There's one Celeste game.
No, I picked that up on a whim. I think because I saw it was released on Switch. It had been out for a while at that point.
Yeah, again, a game that's available everywhere on subscription services and on sale for like $3 all the time.
Yeah, I have it somewhere.
Right, you probably have it 3 places, Ray. I guarantee it.
Yeah.
I gotta say, that's probably my favorite thing about the Switch is that like there's all these games that get released on it, and you can just play it freaking anywhere.
Well, that was the beauty of it when the Switch came out, because you only had 2 games, but the indie market, they were very open and available to indie games, and that benefited them greatly.
It really did. The number of indie games I have on the Switch is actually pretty crazy. But there are like some games that was just like I saw that was like interesting for $5. I'll get it. I'll play it. Was it worth my time? Probably not. It was because this was just basic platformers where you just collected crystals for 30 minutes and then you finish the game. But there is some really cool games on
collecting
there.
Strawberries, not crystals. Well, you do crystals also.
Celeste actually had a decent freaking story.
Yeah.
Which definitely was really, really cool. I love the dynamic between Madeline and what we lovingly refer to as Badeline. I did not know I never searched on the internet very far to see there was a name for the for your other half in the game, but that yes, the story is beautiful there. The story is beautiful. The character development is really, really cool. Seeing the struggles of both of them as they climb up the mountain, but their eventual acceptance of each other. That hey, we're the same. We're here. We're a part of this together. We got to work together and see through our differences.
And not destroy each other, and I'm not going to destroy you to move on.
Yeah,
just, you're a part of it.
Yeah, exactly. And just like that character development was really, really cool. And then the gameplay was so simple, but it was so cool. And of course, each area had its own unique mechanics and gimmicks, which of course, I mean, for a game like this, are necessary. By all means, necessary. But they worked in such a way that it kept things interesting. It wasn't terribly annoying. Of course, it's a game that is designed to make you frustrated. It is a very punishing platformer, but in a way that you learn. It's a game style where you have to learn from your mistakes, and figuring things out on your own is so satisfying.
Ori's death count is nothing compared to Celeste. Like there were I died at least 3 times as much in Celeste as I did like my first run in Ori. And like it's just there's something about when you get to the end of a level and it says like you have died 127 times, but it's always got this like encouraging like I don't know how they did it where like it rubs in your face you died triple digits. But like, don't feel bad about it. You did great, and like, there's a reason it makes you like you said, just it does this thing where it's like you learn by dying. You have to, and it's like really positive and encouraging, which is like the whole. Again, there's a whole philosophy, and again behind the developer and like the entire story for the developer with this one. There's a lot out there to. I'm sure you can spend a great deal of time understanding the psychology and philosophy of this game, but it's so weird that this little like $5 thing on sale that you get with just like, okay, it's a platform where you have to jump and do some double jumps and stuff with, and you're trying to, you collect some strawberries along the way, and then crystals and tapes and everything else. And like, yeah, no, there's a lot more to it. It's weird.
Yeah. I will like the extra levels that they added in. That was a nice touch as well. Because you have the standard A tracks, which are the base story chapters, but then you have the B and B and C sides, for each level, and it was just new challenges, stuff that was actually like okay, we're taking our skills that we've learned through the game, and we're kicking them up a notch, and it was a lot of fun playing through all that stuff.
So did you go so far? Like, were you after all the golden strawberries and the crystals and the tape? Like, you got all the tapes and everything?
I collected all the tapes. I collected all of the strawberries. I did not collect all the golden strawberries. I think I only have one golden strawberry, and that is the first level.
Yeah, that's right, ChatGPT. There are multiple collectibles in this game. For anybody who's writing a trivia question about Celeste, don't be tricked by what ChatGPT spits out at you. Yeah, sorry. That felt oddly specific.
It's trying hard. It's doing its best, Dan.
No,
it is. Yeah, there was.
Yeah, rolling credits on the game is beating a third of the game, basically.
Yeah, literally. Yeah, and then not to mention the extra levels after you complete the main story too. That stuff. I
wouldn't know. Cool. I beat the main story. It's like I can't do this to myself anymore. It's like I'm out. I'm done. I rolled credits. I'm good.
There was one more. There was an extra chapter 8, which took you into the heart of the mountain,
which you needed the crystals for. Yes,
you needed the crystal. You needed all the crystals for. That stuff was tricky, but it took away your double dash ability that you got at the end of the main game, and at some point, it took away your ability to recharge your dash after landing on ground.
Oh, so no, it does that right away. Once you enter that area, I remember that it immediately takes away that ground landing dash.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Oh God.
So it was a real toughie, but I managed to get through that.
Well, for those of you who do it, there's an extra tagline on Channel 3 for that. So good luck if you're putting yourself through that misery and suffering.
Oh, there's a tagline for Celeste Chapter 8.
There's a Heart of the Mountain tagline.
Ooh, how do I apply for that? Do I just have to say that I did
take a screenshot. Just take the screenshot of your final stats. You'll be set.
Ooh, okay. Easy.
Since you went through that suffering, it's there for somebody. It's not for me, but
is there a tagline for Chapter 9, the farewell chapter?
Jesus Christ, what are you doing to me? I got to go back and look and see now. And I don't think there is. I know I did Heart of the Mountain, but I did not. I did not look to see if there was an achievement on Steam tied to that. And I was still recovering from the game, so I didn't want to dig any deeper.
I wouldn't be surprised if there was an achievement for completing Farewell.
I think it's just called Farewell. I wasn't doing that for Channel 3. I feel like I remember seeing that now. Yeah.
That is an exceptionally hard level. I have not beaten it. The only way I have pseudo beaten it was with the assist mode that the game gives you, because I wanted to play through and see what the rest of the level was like and actually complete the berry so I could see the end of the story. And dear God, I was like, my thoughts was like, how am I supposed to do this? Because the game is great. And the movement capabilities you have in that game are insane. But Farewell makes you, it requires you to learn them and be good at that advanced mechanics.
And you have to be precise in a lot of the game to begin with. Like, you can't miss an angle or anything. So that's where you don't die because you suck. You die because of the sheer level of precision required for this. I can't imagine. No, I'm done. Great game. Recommend everybody plays it. Don't do that to yourself. No. That's not fun anymore.
Don't 100% unless you're brace yourself for the difficulty that you will experience. Celeste is actually one of the few games I have done a speed run of. because I was part of a gaming club in college, and one of our events was a speedrunning event, and I did Celestin for one of them. I did chapters 1 through 7, base game only, in about, I want to say, an hour 35 minutes.
Oh, nice.
Nowhere near like world record level, because like some of them doing that crap in like 30.
Yeah, but you're just picking up and doing it, so yeah.
Exactly, yeah. And so like I learned like the advanced mechanics to the point that I was competent enough to get some of them. And like I learned the levels, learned some skips. The amount of times I played through that first chapter, oh my gosh, I am so used to that level. Yeah, no, it is. It's tough. It's challenging. It's a lot of fun. I really enjoy it. Not to mention, because I want to say this before we move on from Celeste, Lena frickin' Rain, the composer for Celeste, was just like her soundtrack is incredible. Like that is some of the best video game music done in that style I've heard in a long freaking time. To bring back that classic type of composing,
that 8-bit MIDI type of music,
yeah.
But like you listen, especially like the chases and the quote unquote boss sequences, like you're feeling it.
Oh my god, yes! Like I could listen to that soundtrack on loop. It was there, and especially what is it? It's the boss fight against Battlein, and when you fall from the mountain, the first
the final time you're battling before you merge, basically.
Yeah, oh my god, that's probably my favorite theme. It is so cool. The energy in that music so perfectly fits what you're doing in that moment, and it's just I've always had my eye on her ever since, and to find out that she did Pig Step for Minecraft, like I didn't even have to listen to the song. I already knew it was going to be freaking good, and by God, it was.
Well, before we transition to your final honorable mention, we're going to insert a 32-minute cutscene introducing the. Oh, good. No, he did a series again. No, he did a series again. Now, first of all, he said the Xenoblade series, which I think I appreciate. So you're referring specifically to the games with Xenoblade in the title, and not the Xeno titles. Which would also include Xenogears, etc. Okay, because again, from a librarian perspective, this series is a nightmare of making sure that I try to capture as much as humanly possible accurately with this. So we're sticking with the Nintendo-oriented Gears games.
Xenoblade only. I haven't played Gears or Sagas.
I'm not Gears. God, yeah, I said Gears. Yeah, but again, like you're talking about the 4 games, right? Basically, it comes down to here.
Yeah, Xenoblade 1, X, 2, and 3.
Yeah. So alas, here I will kick it to you, and again, I'm just here to shout out the pain in the rear end this was to enter this one into the library. But again, the action RPG. And again, like heavy anime influences, heavy, not your traditional turn-based JRPG, but you see a lot of the JRPG influences here. Little different than the way a lot of the older school ones work. But how did you wander into this one? Because we have not talked any kind of RPG aside from like some elements maybe in a couple of them up until now. But this one's a role-playing game now.
Oh yeah, it's. RPG is definitely not my main type of game by any means, but so like games like Final Fantasy and other things like that, online MMOs, like you will never see me playing those. I do not have the time or passion for that kind of stuff. My brother, he plays Final Fantasy like on end. He's been doing that kind of stuff, Starfield, all those like space exploration games. It's like I find it hard to get back into Minecraft. Like that's like probably one of the most basic role-playing games you could probably get into. And just like I just don't have interest. I can't stick with it. Did I play Minecraft a ton when I was a kid? Yes, I was a kid. I crave something more. But
you did
I
not
had
just yearn for the mines, no.
Yeah. I do not yearn for the mines by any means. I didn't even back then. I was always playing creative mode. No, I had known about Xenoblade 1, the first original game, for a while. Because I think
Was the Wii part of your household? You mentioned kind of the PlayStation influences. So yeah, so this is breaking into Nintendo territory now, which we hadn't really. Yeah, the 3DS was there, but this was not a 3DS. This was Wii U, Switch. Yeah.
The first ever gaming console I touched, keyword touched, was a Game Boy Color, I believe, that a classmate brought in during kindergarten, back in grade school. And I remember playing I think a Power Rangers game and a Ninja Turtles game on his Game Boy. And then I didn't play anything. I didn't own a Game Boy. The first gaming console I owned was a red Nintendo DS Lite. So I have a bunch of like old classic Nintendo DS.
So where does Xenoblade come in then? Like how do you get to this?
I got to it via YouTube. I'm pretty sure I found cutscenes of the game on YouTube, and I was like, "This is cool. I'm gonna watch more of this," and I did.
And there are plenty of them. I joke, but like there are plenty of them in this series to watch. Yeah,
yeah. I like, but mainly campaign, because like I am a campaign guy. If I want a game to have a good campaign, I am that guy who plays Call of Duty for the campaign. Now, granted, have I played anything since Black Ops 3? No. Everything sucks since then. Even Black Ops 3 sucked. But
we're not going down this road. Nope.
No, we're not. But I very much like campaign games. There was a YouTube channel called Gamers Little Playground that does literally basically they call it video game movies, where it's literally just a 4 or however many hour long video of the campaign and any related cutscenes of a certain game. And I watched so many things on that channel. I wouldn't be surprised if Xenoblade was one of them on that channel. But I found it on YouTube. And like you said, I know Wii. The next Nintendo console I had after the new Nintendo 3DS XL, because that was the last Nintendo console I owned before the Switch 1. So I just went straight from the 3DS to the Switch. I didn't even touch the Wii. I knew about the Wii. I've played on a Wii before because like a friend or the rec center, but I never owned one because we owned, my family in total in this household, we have a PS3, a PS4, a Xbox 360, an Xbox One. Both me and my brother have a Switch 1. I have a Switch OLED. I owned a Switch Lite. It unfortunately kicked the bucket. I have a.
You don't say 3DS. Switch Lite, huh?
I have two Nintendo 3DS, new Nintendo 3DS XL specifically. One of the first one I owned, the screen stopped working, so I bought another one. And then I have my PC. So we have a lot of consoles here, but the Nintendo family we had no foot in for some reason. I want to say it was probably the justification there was the games that my dad was interested in because he played a lot more video games back when I was younger. The justification was that the games that he wanted to play was on like PlayStation and Xbox.
Yeah, he wanted to do the aforementioned God of Wars of the world. Yeah.
Yeah, God of War, Call of Duty, that kind of stuff.
So, did you have to, because Xenoblade 2, I'm trying to remember, I think was out for the Switch first, and then they eventually went back and did Xenoblade 1. Then 3 came out and was released fully for the Switch as well. And then finally, just like recently, they did X.
Which I'm currently playing now.
Okay, so I was just going to say, so you just kind of worked your way around over the course of time of like, okay, I'm finally getting to this then?
Yeah, so funnily enough, Nintendo put Xenoblade 1 on the new Nintendo 3DS. It was one of the keystone games for that console.
It could handle that? I didn't realize it was on the 3DS.
It actually looked really good for the 3DS. The main reason it got put on there was because of the C-Stick. Because it was basically your right joystick to control the camera. And so, which means that my C-Stick got really, really worn down because all things considered, that C-Stick sucked.
It feels
And
so weird.
it feels so weird. It's hard to use, and Xenoblade 1 and Hyrule Warriors on the 3DS are probably the only games that actively use that thing. But I saw that Xenoblade 1 released on the 3DS, so I bought it. And I actually got a good deal of the way through the game. To the point that I was in, I think, if not the last chapter, like one or two before the last chapter of the game. The unfortunate part is that I soft locked myself and I couldn't get out of it. And at that point, I had sucked so much time into that game, and I was like, I can't be bothered.
I can't do
I
this
have,
again. I can't. I'm not strong enough. Yeah.
yeah, I was at that point. I'm not. I can't be bothered to reset and start from zero because I could not recover. I got stuck in the boss room, and the respawning puts you back in that boss room, and I could not load a previous save because I had not saved beforehand. So now I can confidently say I have learned from my mistakes. But once I found out that Xenoblade, like I knew about Xenoblade 2, I looked at it, saw some of the stuff where I was like, what is this crap? Ignored. But then Xenoblade 1 Definitive Edition came along. I was like, oh my God, I can play through the game again. Got it immediately. And I did. When I started playing Xenoblade 1, and I just re-enjoyed how I re-experienced how much fun I had playing that game. With the characters, the story. My God, the story is probably the biggest selling point for that game. Oh my God. And the art system with the combat. And like the not overly complicated, but just complicated enough gear system. With the gems and stuff. It's a phenomenal game. And then, of course, the revamping of character models and then launched in on the Switch was a significantly superior console to the Wii and the 3DS. It was a great experience. And at that point, I had vowed I know like 2 is released. I know 3 is coming. Let's play through the whole series. Screw it. And so like I played and completed 1. I did the DLC of 1 as well, which was awesome. Melia is my favorite character in that game, but my God, does she get screwed over hard. The love of her life was right in freaking front of her, and he gave her no attention. Like, I felt so bad. It was one of those moments that you just wish you could be in the game and just give them a hug, tell them it's going to be all right. Plus, just her character development was just incredible because we get introduced to her as this pompous, stuck-up princess, and then she learns to be accepting of other people and other cultures, and learns to grow as a person and get a unique viewpoint on the world. Not to mention the terror of nearly losing her entire civilization and her species. So, yeah. And then, of course, the DLC just added on to that with her reclaiming her throne as the queen of the Hyantia. So, and then, but yeah, after that, moving into 2, played through that. I have to admit, I kind of enjoyed the story. And once you got to a certain point, the combat got a lot more manageable, especially with all the elements and blade combos you could do. Just the start of the game is just rough. You just have to power through it. And the first time, my brother actually got the game for himself, and I played a little bit. This was like long before Definitive Edition for 1 released. And I was like, this feels so weird. I do not like it. But then fast forward a couple years, I get it for myself, and I was like, oh,
once
yeah,
you get to build into it, it flows a little better. Yeah. It
definitely flows a lot better. Did I complete all the side quests? Heck no. I could give say a word.
Nobody got time for that, as they say. Yeah.
Yeah. Xenoblade 1, I already knew beforehand, since I played it before on the 3DS, that there are so many time-limited quests, and if you don't do them, you get screwed. like there's like certain side quests like in Gar Plain and then Colony 6. Like if you don't complete those by a certain point, you can't do anything afterwards. But with Xenoblade 2, there, as far as I was aware, there wasn't really that much pressure for any of the side quests. You do them or you don't, pretty much. And to me, they seemed pointless, so I said, nope, not doing it. Don't care. But I like the development of the game. The different blades was really interesting. I hated the gacha system. It's just because like, you know, trying your luck to get different blades is just a pain in the butt. I will say, having a gotcha element, thank God there wasn't microtransactions. So we didn't have to buy core crystals to generate new blades. You just had to grind for them. So thank God for that. But I liked the characters, especially Torna the Golden Country. That just improved on the gameplay so much. It was significantly better than base 2. And also it was a good DLC because it set because the DLC was a prequel to the base game, so it told you the details of like how we got to where we are, yada yada yada. And I really enjoyed that. That was also part of my playthrough of the series, is that I did base game DLC, base game DLC. That way I just had the full story. And then moved on to 3, and that was it was a beast of a game, both it and its DLC. I loved just all the little nuances 3 brought in from 1 and 2. Because from the 2 clear factions of enemies, one have the very obviously Xenoblade 1 type, the next very obviously Xenoblade 2 with Keves and Agnes being more Keves being like being more like the Homs in 1, and Agnes being like the blades in 2. Not to mention how their arts functioned as well, with Keves arts being on the time recharge like 1 was, but with Agnes characters, their arts recharge based on your auto attack recharge, which 2 did. And I have to say, like, those little, like, it did not click for me until, like, much later in the game. I was like, wait a second. Oh my God, they've just brought the game mechanics from the previous 2 game into this one. How did I not see this? And then not to mention, like, all the different, like, customizations you could do. The fact that you could switch between party members at will during combat, that was freaking cool. The Ouroboros mechanic as well, the merging between them, that was really, really cool. And then just the general world building. Like you're finding out all these things about the world and seeing all these places that you've been to in older games. It's like, oh my God, it's a freaking nostalgia trip every single place I step. And all these like different character stories as well. I was like, these are really, really, really cool. And then of course, the ending of the game too was like, it left me wanting more. Because yes, we've finished what Noah and Mio started with wanting to end Mobius and free the worlds, give them back to control to the people who put that world together, with Nia and Melia being the 2 queens of the factions, and of course being imprisoned by Mobius. Frick those guys. And then once you clear the main story, and then you see the relationships budding between the 6 main cast, especially Noah and Mio. That relationship you could see was clearly developing throughout the entire game, yet nothing was acted on because they had a greater task at hand. And then you finally see the culmination. It's like, oh my God, we've been waiting for so long for this moment, and they actually kiss each other in the end, which is. For like, I love romance. I'm a big sucker for it sometimes. Romance anime is some of my favorite ones. So long as it's good. I don't like trashy romance. So long as like it's good colored character development and the characters are likable, yada yada yada. But seeing that culmination of their relationship at the end there was really, really nice. But seeing them all of a sudden torn away from each other as the world separated, because the whole concept of 3 was that it was an incomplete world that was forced to merge together. And to see them torn away like they were was heart-wrenching and leaving me wanting for more. So I'm really hoping that we get a Xenoblade 4 that properly finishes the Xenoblade story, because it is not over by any means. And as to whether or not that'll happen, God knows. I really hope it does happen, though. And then, of course, the DLC. God, oh, that DLC hit me right in the feels, because I'm seeing all these older characters, all these clear characters that are based off other people that got caught up in the merge and the whole thing that happened going into the world building of Xeno 3. And then, of course, playing as Shulk, playing as Rex, meeting these new characters, and then, of course, seeing all these old locations. I hadn't even seen Colony 9 in the DLC. All I had to do was hear the music, and I almost burst out into tears. Like, I almost started tearing up. I basically did, because I just hearing that music after so long and having just all the emotions and the memories of that game.
Yeah, and the investment in all of it. Yeah,
exactly. It's just like, oh my God, I've made it. I'm here. I'm experiencing this. I'm feeling this. I see Colony 9 and I'm like, I am freaking home. I am home. Oh God, I'm getting emotional thinking about it. But playing through that, bringing back old characters from ones with Alvis, and just in reconnecting both, like, the sort of created reality that is one, and then the actual, what would I call it? I guess synthesized reality that is two, with the core crystals and the Aegis blades being basically that world being basically a computer simulation. And seeing that culmination is like, this is a reality that we're stuck in now. We are these blade amalgamations, and we have to fight against this pseudo. Okay. Every Xenoblade game is a pseudo god. Maybe I don't know about Xenoblade X. I haven't gotten to the end game there yet. But 1, 2, and 3, there's always a god at play. And each of those games, you kill said god. And you kill God again in the DLC for Xeno 3, which is very funny. But I just, yeah, the culmination of everything was like the Alvis fight at the end of the DLC was like, I'm being thrown back to the final boss in Xeno 1, because that's what this reminds me of. And then, of course, was her name A? I think the character name was A. But A, Shulk, and Rex giving themselves up to control whatever the planetary system is called. That giant planet
in the
robot
distance. Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
In the distance. Yeah. I can't remember what it's called. God. Giving themselves up to control that so they could stabilize the world to the point that hopefully, however many years down the line, someone can finish what they started. And Xeno 3 was exactly that. So I really enjoyed that. And then Xeno X, I'm playing through that now. I already thought the game was cool. I was sad I couldn't ever get to play it, because it was only on, what was that game on? The Wii? Or was it the Wii U?
That was a Wii U, I believe, for that one. Xenoblade was Wii, that was Wii U.
Gotcha. Yeah, the concept of X, like, I could see it wasn't tied into the story at all of 1, 2, or 3. So I was like, if I play it, I play it. And then, of course, I found out Xenoblade X got Definitive Edition. I was like, oh, great. I'll get it. I'll play it. No reason not to. And I'm having a good time. It is a long game, but not long in a bad sense. And I'm a little bit of a completionist. So I'm doing every side quest. I'm doing like as many basic missions as I can, completing all the Affinity missions before I continue into the next story chapter. And then, of course, just flying around in a Skell. You're flying around a fully loaded map. And this is done back on the Wii U. A fully loaded region in a flying robot. Like, I think that was unheard of back then. to have a fully loaded region that on that scale, and it's just freaking cool. Now I am absolutely not min-maxing my character, because I'm seeing all these like guys, like I'm having trouble with some of the monsters that I fight and whatnot. Like I'm getting annoyed because just sheer defense, like high defense, high health pools, yada yada yada. And I see these guides online and whatnot from like both from like the original game and now, of people min-maxing, augmenting their stuff, doing all these things to make themselves super super strong. And then I see a comment saying, "Yeah, I did all this. It definitely helped, but now the rest of the game's too easy." I was like, "Thank God I'm not doing that, and I can actually experience a challenge." Now, when I do the actual proper story content, am I heavily overleveled for it? Yes. Does fighting through these bosses with the scale make things super easy? Yes. But it's still cool. So I'm really looking forward to finally finishing this game so I can move on to something else on the Switch. Because that's like kind of been my pattern for the past like 2 years, is that I find one game to really lock in on the Switch and I just play that. And then I will play other things on the side of my computer when I sit on that. So I'm looking forward to finishing it. We'll see how it goes.
And now we go to the future. A game you were
Yes.
looking forward to, Okami's sequel, which was
Oh my God.
a very quick announcement 6 months ago. Just, hey, it's happening. A game so
I-
popular, we've revived the studio.
I screamed, literally screamed when it clicked what I was seeing on that live stream. I was in a VC with friends and they can attest that I peeked my microphone, Discord cut out. Finding out that Okami was coming back blew my mind. And I am so excited to see that game come back. Do I have any idea what they're going to do for it? No. I don't think anyone does. Are there speculations and rumors? 100%. I haven't seen them, but I'm sure they exist. But I really hope that we hear something about it soon, because that is a game that I will absolutely buy day one. I do not care what state it is in. I am getting it.
So we're going to take a question from the Channel 3 history books to pick for you to discuss. And we're picking a simple one here. Or maybe not. Pick your favorite Pro controller.
Ooh, favorite Pro controller. Okay. When we say Pro controller, does that mean like the pro controller in quotes? Because we have the Pro controller for Switch 1, Xbox Elite for Xbox controllers. I don't know what the Pro controller could.
There's a PS5 equivalent as well. But you had an answer. What's your favorite?
Out of the ones that I have used,
he's looking very clearly at something.
I'm looking at the two right next to me, because I have a Switch Pro controller and I have an Xbox Elite Series 2 next to me that I recently purchased.
Ooh.
I don't know which one is what. In terms of functionality and customizability, I think the Elite Series 2.
Yeah, I said the fact that you brought that up answers the question.
Yeah.
Sorry, Switch.
That's the right answer.
Switch.
That's the right answer.
But I have to say the Switch Pro controller is really nice, and apparently the Pro Con for Switch 2 is also really, really nice.
A little more programmable, as I understand it too. Yeah,
which is cool. But I'm also like I'm severely used to playing handheld, so I'm totally comfortable with Joy-Con. So I'm good to play with whatever controller. So it's just having the Joy-Con, or not the Joy-Con, the Pro-Con right there dedicated to my Switch. I just pick that up and play Mario Kart whenever we have our cups or gangs nights. So, and then the Xbox Elite Series 2, it feels nice. It's got a nice feel to it. The fact that I can change like the joysticks, the tension on them, I can put in the paddles and remap buttons if I wanted to. Even though if it gives me an aneurysm trying to play with them, because adding those new buttons in all of a sudden definitely is going to take a while to get used to if I play something that uses them regularly. So far, I haven't hit that point. But yeah, I have to say Series Elite 2, based on feel. Now, I will say my controller currently has issues. I bought this controller secondhand for $80, which is definitely not its MSRP. So it's been well used. The A button and Y buttons have issues with responsiveness. They don't function all the time. The right bumper, this is same deal. Doesn't respond all the time. And then the left bumper, I think I just completely kicked the bucket. And this all happened in the series of like 2 or 3 days since I bought the console, since I bought the controller. At first, it was just the A button. It was a little bit like every now and again, the button wouldn't function properly when I'm trying to like advance through dialogue on a game. And then I started playing Rocket League with Ian one night, and then the Y button stopped functioning properly. The right button stopped functioning properly, and then the left button just gave out while I was just playing. I was like, I cannot do this. I need my older controller back. And the reason I bought the Series 2 was because I have the setup I'm currently at now, and then my computer that is now in my room that I built recently is actually the same computer that I brought in for C3Con. I realized I have this extra computer. I don't want it to sit gathering dust. I'll just put it in my room and play stuff on there if I really want to. Play from the comfort of my bed. And I have to say, it's kind of nice. So I wanted to have 2 controllers so I didn't have to disconnect and then reconnect the controller between the 2 computers each time. But now that I have a non-functional, not entirely functional Elite controller, I still have to do it anyway. So I have to get it repaired, I guess. I don't know.
And last question we asked, what's been your favorite feature on Channel 3?
Favorite feature? Clubs, I think. The clubs is a really, really nice touch because it's an easy place for people to gather. It's like Facebook groups, so I understand the concept, but the fact that we can like host events, they have the dedicated group chat for it as well. And then granted, a lot of this is just my personal experience with the Mushroom Kingdom Racing group club now. I have like a lot of fun with those guys. I've met some great people, but also just like there's that, but also just scrolling on the feed on Channel 3. It's just you can see some really cool stuff. In general, Channel 3 is amazing. I really like how it is. Simple as that. I just really like how it is. Sure, like it has its fair share of bugs and is still in development, but for an in-development website, it's pretty freaking good. Gotta say.
With one guy building it, yes.
With one guy building it, insane. And however many concurrent users it's got right now. I think the last number was like 5,000 in Joel's latest post about that metric. It's pretty good. Pretty good.
And on that note, we've made it to the end of another Warrior 3. Thank you, Stygian, for being with us. You can find the podcast at c3.gg/podcast, dropping every Wednesday morning at 3:33 a.m. Eastern on all the major platforms, including Spotify, YouTube Music, and Apple Podcast. I'm Ray. Dan puts this all together. Our theme song is by Castor Garden. And for our executive producer, Joel Willis, have a good day, everybody.
Channel 3 is the future.